Good pre-afternoon or good morning, everyone. Welcome to, if you're online, welcome to our CFA Open. My name is Valentine. I'm the CEO of CharterQuest. I will be taking you through what the CFA is all about. We have done a quick survey prior to now. A number of you, basically almost all of you have mentioned that you are just considering CFA for the first time. You have never done CFA. Some of you have been asking, why don't we get exemptions if we do CFA? Some of you want to know, what is the CFA about? How does the CharterQuest program really works? So we are here to help you address those. So that's essentially what we want to do as part of this our CFA Open Day. Now, I guess I'm going to start with literally taking you through what to expect if you're going to be studying the CFA. It's one qualification that we're extremely really passionate about. So let's start with your vision. What are you trying to become? If you are considering studying for the CFA, your vision is to become what is commonly called the CFA charter holder. So you're seeking to become a CFA charter holder. That is your ultimate vision. And then you might be wondering, okay, what does that mean? And we've just outlined here, some of the broad areas that you can look at working in if you're a CFA charter holder. Now, this is now internationally, it's not necessarily very customized to South Africa. Remember that CFA is a very global qualification. Okay, so you might think about it in the following way. The qualification is about investment, and when you look at what investors are seeking to deliver returns, they will generally invest in equities. You all know what are equities, which is shares that company raise to finance expansion. Investors can invest in the fixed income, which is the debt of companies. Investors can invest in private equity, which in many ways is a form of equity. The difference is that this is equity for listed companies. This is investing in equity for private companies, as it were. Another class of area where CFAs are very active is what is called derivatives, forward contracts, futures contracts, option contracts, and all the rest. And lastly, a major area that you can look at working in is what is called real estate. Now, these are very broad categorizations in terms of where CFAs, in other words, if you look at globally, 90% of CFAs, they will generally work in these particular areas, either in equities analyst, research analyst, fixed income analyst, private equity analyst, derivatives analyst, and real estate analyst. So this is the broad areas. This is not to say that if you become a CFA charter holder, these are the only areas that you work. You go into some companies, the chief risk officer, the risk manager, is actually a CFA charter holder. A lot of CFA guys work in insurance. Anywhere that risk is a big component of what they do, actuarial valuation of is a big component of what they do, CFA charter holders are actually very, very active. So that should give you an idea. And I spend this time because most of you, all of you said you are new to CFA. You're trying to. So I just want to give you some goalposts in terms of if you were studying this, where you could end up. So what are the different types of job titles? And again, this is just very broad. Job titles that you can expect to find CFA charter holders having. Okay, you commonly hear what is called the chief officer, or some will call the CIO, chief investment officer. Okay, so in a typical investment banking firm, they call it Alexander Forbes, JP Morgan, Investec, those investment banking divisions of the big banks, they would normally, just like we have a CEO of a company, that's what is called the chief investment officer. Obviously, you are still quite young, you're trying to go in, it's going to take you 15, 20 years to do it. But you're likely to work at a very low level of a company that is headed by a chief investment officer. Okay, you can also end up to be a portfolio manager. Who is a portfolio manager? Is a guy who helps the business to find how to combine these various different types of investment. How do we combine private equity, the portfolio of investments to generate the returns that our clients are looking for and all the rest. That's basically what a portfolio manager would do. A research analyst is also another area. That's ultimately as a CFA charter holder, you're trying to demonstrate a set of competencies that show that you can analyze investments and recommend your clients as to whether they should invest in a particular investment or whether they should sell off a particular investment or whether they should continue to hold a particular investment. Now, for you to be able to deliver this type of advice, you need researchers. Researchers would be individuals who can, study the market using tools like technical analysis, using charts and graphs and all the rest, but who can also perform fundamental analysis of the various investments, do some form of valuation, and come up with some idea as to whether a company should be bought or sold or an investment should be bought or sold, and if it should be bought or sold, what is the best type of valuation. That's what research analysts would do. They will follow companies, they will follow investments, track it, look at the environment, interest rate, exchange rate, look at how the investment is doing, and recommend when to buy, when to sell, and the rest to their clients. Okay, you can also end up as a risk manager, I've explained, especially for a company that deals a lot with financial risk, the banks, the insurance companies, where most of the risks they are largely financial risks as opposed to operational, strategic, and technology risks. You could end up in those roles, and then you could also be a consultant, giving financial advisory, to corporate clients, to private wealth clients, high net worth investors who are trying to invest their wealth. You don't know how to invest that wealth. You could be a consultant for them. So that's just a very broad outline. So in terms of you achieving, pursuing this CFA charter holder designation, that is almost like the gateway in terms of what you might end up really becoming. Now, obviously, the exam has 3 levels. There's level 1, there's level 2, there's level 3, which I'm going to take you through so that you all understand how things work. So here's our level 1, here's our level 2, here's our level 3. Some of you have been asking, do I need a degree to do CFA? CFA has 2 parts. Ideally, you should have a first degree before you start CFA. If you don't have a degree, but you're doing the final year of your degree, you are allowed to start CFA level 1 on condition that by the time you get to level 2, you must have finished that degree itself. Now, CFA also has an alternative path, which is even if you don't have a degree, but you have something like 10 years experience in investments, you can still, they will take you through what is called the recognition of prior learning route, and then you can proceed with that. Now, obviously, for you to develop the competencies required to meet the aspirations of the charter itself, there are 10 topic areas, okay? Now, I need to point out these 10 topic areas, they are the same. So everything you'll be learning in level 1 is the same thing you should be learning in level 2 as well as level 3. The difference is that the complexity of what you'll be learning will continue to change, okay? The 10 areas include 1, ethics and professional standards. Now, I'll just give you a brief idea of what is going on there. CFA has a number of ethical standards and professional standards that regulate and guide how CFA charter holders have to conduct themselves. There are standards that relate to how you should behave in relation to capital markets. You cannot manipulate the markets. How you should put your duty to clients first before your duty to employers. If you have an employer, it regulates how you should deal with your employer. If you're resigning from a company, how you should resign, when you should resign, what steps you must take to protect the integrity of your employer when you're going to be leaving. If you are involved with doing performance reporting, there are standards there as to what you should report, what sorts of techniques you should compile a report. So ethics and professional standards is basically the topic number 1 in your curriculum, which develops your values, the sense of values in terms of how the profession should be practiced. The next area that speaks to CFA is what is called quantitative methods. Now, if you're coming in with a degree, you probably already be familiar. That's what in university called statistics. But quantitative method is really about how to, analyze statistical data, statistical tools like mean, variance, standard deviation, Sortino ratio. These are different tools that are used, histograms, bar charts, Gantt charts, how to do a descriptive statistic, differential statistic, hypothesis testing, normal distribution, Cartesian plates. All these are all quantitative tools and techniques which modern day chartered financial analysts, that is, if you recall, we mentioned that one of the roles will be a researcher. As a research analyst, if you cannot analyze data and use these various tools and techniques, it might become a problem. So quantitative method really is where you are learning how to quantify and abstract data and reduce that to patterns that can help your clients understand where a particular market is heading to and all the rest. Some would call it quantitative. It's about the search for mean and variance, basically. The third area is what is called economics. Obviously, the investments that you're going to be pursuing, equities, fixed income, these are very sensitive to the economic environment. The macroeconomic environment sets the basis or the framework from which investments can either thrive or perform badly. The GDP of a country, its interest rate, exchange rate, all those things, they determine the success of investment. So topic number 3 really goes into economics. What are the various processes and economic theories and things and models which you need to grasp in order to even be able to analyze investments and all the rest, because all these impact on the investments. The next area is financial, which is what we have, financial analysis and reporting. In essence, ultimately what you'll be analyzing would be the results of some accounting process. If you're analyzing a company will have to develop financial statements. If you're analyzing fixed income, the company that's doing that fixed will going to have to produce financial statements. So really, what you do here is basically accounting. You learn back from the basis of accounting, debiting, crediting. It takes you all the way to understanding financial statements, how to read financial statements. It spends a lot of time into the two major financial reporting systems in the world, US GAAP versus IFRS, which is what is called International Financial Standards. It tries to show you what are the areas of differences between US GAAP and IFRS in terms of the different components of financial analysis. The reason why CFA spends a lot of time in this is because as a charter holder, you are doing an analysis. You might be analyzing companies which are based in the US, and those companies will report using US GAAP. You might be analyzing companies which are based outside the US, they'll be using IFRS. So your mastery of the two different systems in terms of how they determine how financial reporting is done and how financial analysis is done. Sometimes you're trying to compare a company which is outside the US and a company which is based in the US. But because these companies, they report using two different GAAP systems, how to reconcile a company that reports using IFRS to a company that reports using GAAP, and the one that reports using GAAP to IFRS is a key part of what you're going to be learning as part of financial analysis and reporting. The next part of the program is what is called number 5 is corporate finance. Okay, the basic idea here is that companies need to raise debt, they need to raise equity. That part takes you more into why do companies raise debt, why do they raise equity, what are the different types of debt and equity that they raise, how do companies go about making sure that the method that they choose to raise debt or equity does not have a significant damage to their balance sheet. So those are the things we're going to look at there. And then the next part has to do with equity. The equity part takes a view that ultimately a major means through which companies do the equity. But unlike looking at corporate finance, equities within corporate finance, here you're really studying how the equity market works. Okay, what is Johannesburg Stock Exchange? Who are their investors? Why do the investors behave the way they do? Okay, what are the different indices? You probably heard about the all share index, you probably heard about the banking index, the mining index. What are these indices? There are different types of indices which stock markets use to assess and price what is going on in the economy. In fact, the stock market is a major driver of business confidence in the economy. So in the equity section, you are really getting into how the equity market in any country is organized, what are the different components of that market, the long-term component, the alternative investments section. It really takes you into, like I talked about, the indices. There is the price index. There is the float-free index. There's what is called the market capitalization. Now, these are different indices. Why do you need to understand these indices? Investors are very active on the equity markets, and at any given point in time, you need to be able to benchmark the performance of your portfolio of your equities against some index. Now, the choice as to which index to take, why you should take that, and how that impacts your reporting is really what this section is going to be really dwelling on. And obviously, the next section has to do with fixed income. Okay, fixed income as separate from investment. It goes a bit deeper into bonds. Okay, what is a bond? How do interest rates affect bonds? How do you value bonds? And all those various aspects. And then the next part goes into what is commonly called derivatives. The derivatives obviously are financial instruments that derive their value from the underlying market. For instance, if I'm selling gold, I'm worried about the price of gold. I can buy or sell gold derivatives, and the gold derivatives will derive their value from the underlying price of gold. If I'm worried about interest rates, I can take a forward rate agreement, which becomes a derivative that derives its value from the underlying interest rate which is going on in the market. You will learn that there are different types of derivatives: forward contracts, futures contracts, option contracts. Within the option contract, there's call, there's put. So you need to go into how are derivatives designed, how are they structured, and how do they help you? How do you use derivatives, as well as how do you use derivatives to really mitigate the risks within your portfolio. The ninth area that you'll be looking to study is what is called alternative investment. Alternative investments are basically investments which are neither equity nor debt. In finance, equity, all investment in debt or equity are deemed to be traditional investment. So any other investment that does not fall in the category of equity or debt are considered to be alternative investment. For instance, if you invested in public infrastructure, it is considered to be alternative investment. If you invested in derivatives, bitcoins, cryptocurrencies, those are considered to be alternative investments. So because those are also areas of investment that, as an analyst, so there's an amount of time which is spent looking at that. Ultimately, the ninth area is what is called portfolio management. Ultimately, if you've analyzed and you, like we said, if you've picked equities, you want to pick fixed income and all the rest, you need to learn how to design and put that in the portfolio and manage the portfolio so as to give returns and all the rest. So these are the 10 areas. So if you are joining the CFA and you're thinking, what am I going to be learning? These are the 10 areas that you're going to be learning. So for the next 18 months or 2 years or 3 years, as the case may be, you're spending the whole time learning these 10 issues. Okay? I will just try to align here the weighting that if you see in level 1, when you're in level 1, ethics comprises 15%. So the two biggest areas in level 1, they are financial reporting and analysis, 15%, ethics is 15%. The next big areas is what is called investments and fixed income. They account for 11. Okay, then the next two big quantitative methods and economics, they account for 10%. And then derivatives and the rest, they become 66%. Now you notice as you move to level 2, the percentages are changing. If you notice here, you find when you move to level 2, ethics, which was 15%, it can drop to 10%. It's somewhere between 10 and 15%. This was 10%, but it drops to between 5 and 10. So the examiner can have some flexibility to lower the percentage weighting given to that section. This one was 10%. Okay, this is now 5 to 10. This was 15%, is also lowered. This was 10%, is also lowered. This was 11%, you can see it's lowered. And then this one was 6%, it rises somewhere between 5 to 10%. This was 6%, it rises. Okay, as you're going to the top, you realize that these ones which are at the bottom, especially portfolio management, you can see as we move towards the end, okay, as we're going to explain, portfolio management starts with 6%. As you move towards level 3, portfolio management is now 35 to 45%. There are some areas which when you start in level 1, like quantitative methods, you do in level 1, 10%, level 2, by the time you go to level 3, it's 0%. The assumption is that you are quantitatively, you are very sound now, you have all the tools, we're not going to be telling you, have to obviously apply the tools at the level of portfolio management. You also notice here, financial accounting and reporting is only in level 1 and level 2. By the time you go to level 3, CFA is done with that. Also here, you'll notice that corporate finance, level 1, level 2. So there are some areas, okay? As you move to the top, you find an area like fixed income. Look at fixed income. It was just 11% here. It was 5 to 10 here. And it is blown out of proportion in level 3. So it's almost, you're talking about in level 3, it now becomes 15 to 20%. So some of the areas. So in essence, these are the 10 topic areas that you are learning. Obviously, these areas are regulated around a number of learning outcomes and they become increasingly complex as you go along. Some reach their highest level of complexity at level 2, they fall off. And then some become even more complex as you get to level 3. So at the end of the day, here are the things that you are looking to master as a CFA candidate over those 3 levels. The next part of my presentation will be speaking to, but how is this program itself structured? Okay, I know I've got to study these 10 things. Okay, but how is this structured over these three levels? Okay, so if I request to say, okay, since your goal is to become a CFA charter holder, okay, if I was to ask you, yeah, these are the areas you're going to work in, these are the job titles you're going to have. If I was to ask you in one sentence, what exactly do CFA charter holders do in one sentence? That's what I've tried to summarize here for you. Here's what they do. They make long, short, or whole investment decisions. That's what they do. They help clients to make investment decisions. Investment decision can be long, it can be short, it can be whole. By long, it simply means buy. By short, it simply means sell that investment. By whole, it simply means don't buy more, don't sell more, just keep it in your portfolio. So that's all they do. When should I buy? When should I sell? When should I hold? Okay? And in doing this, I make that decision as a short-term decision, as a medium-term decision, or as a long-term. Now, obviously there's a lot going on there, but the idea there was to just help you summarize in one sentence what is it that you'll be doing. So wherever you work, whether you work in fixed income or in equity or in derivatives, your number one job is to help your client to make investment decisions, either to long, to short, or to hold. And those decisions should be short-term, medium-term, or long-term. The key issue for you is, what is it that I need to be doing to help clients to make those long, short? There are just 2 things. CFA, the whole CFA is about 2 things: risk and return. Risk and return, risk and return, risk and return. So if you cannot, when you make an investment, it's because you want return. But in order to get to that return, you are exposed to risks. So the whole CFA level 1, so even if we are saying, even if we are studying this, we are studying this, we are studying this, we are studying this, we are studying all that through the prism of risk and return, because that is what you are trying to analyze to tell your client whether your client should long, short, or you should hold. The next question that then arises is, if these are the 10 areas that you are looking to study to become a CFA charter holder, how does the CFA organize the curriculum to help you achieve that? Now, let us try now to show you how CFA progresses you through those different levels. Now, it's almost like you're trying to get there at the top of your pyramid. Okay. There are the three levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Okay. So one has tried to, and you're going to see if you join this course, we started taking you through the course, you ultimately see some of these things are quite high level, but when we start operationalizing it chapter by chapter, that makes more sense to you. But ultimately, in level 1, okay, we know this thing is about teaching you about risk and return. That's the end goal. But why is it in level 1 you are learning about risk and return that you have not continue within level 2 and level 3? In level 1, what are we trying to do? We're trying, can you master every investment process has tools. Some will call it techniques. It's a range of tools that you need to carry or understand in terms of how to carry out your risk. So in level 1, all that we are doing is you are trying to master the tools, the various tools that must be used to carry out an investment. The tools are all around return and risk. You were wondering, just the concept of return, you can break it into arithmetic return, geometric return, harmonic return, forecasted return, exposed return. There are different types of return. So an ample amount of time is spent just trying to unpack all the tools that go into returns, and as well as pack all the tools that go into risk. Okay, that's the essence of level 1. Okay. What does level 2? So since the goal is to make investment decisions, the goal then of level 1 is to master the tools and techniques that are used to make investment, is to understand them, how those tools and techniques work. So what then will be the goal of level 2? Okay. Now we've said investment decisions can be short-term and be long-term. Okay. Level 2 tries to go into what is called, how do you make short-term investments? How do you use these tools and techniques to carry out short-term decisions? Okay. Level 3 just takes it now to say, but how do you do that if it was long-term? By short-term, I'm referring to, let's say you're a stock trader. You do business on the basis of buying and selling stocks. Okay, when the stock is about, the price is about to go up, you buy it, or you believe it has reached at the top, you want to sell it, make capital gains and come out. So as a dealer, you have to make tactical decisions every day. Buy here, sell there, do this, now to generate returns for your client. That is what I would call short-term decisions. Because your cycles are weekly or daily or monthly and all the rest. You learn a lot of that in level 2. Once you move to level 3, and you're still using these same areas, these same 10 areas, okay? Once you move to level 3, it is now, yeah, but how do you do the same if you are dealing with long-term decision? By long-term decision, you're investing for 15 years. You're investing to, could be investing for your child going to school in 5, 10, 15 years' time. You could invest in the company not because you are interested in share price up and down, but as part of a long-term investment. You could be buying a property, you could be investing in infrastructure. Those investments which span over an extended period of time, like 10, 15 years, okay? The principles that regulate how those are deployed in investment, they are very different when you go to. So in essence, here you learn the tools, here you apply the tools to make short-term decisions, and here you apply the tools to make long-term decisions. Okay. So what then you will find, because I said it is the same 10 areas, the complexity just changes from what is commonly called knowledge and understanding. Here I'm interested in, do you have the knowledge and understanding? Here I'm interested in, can you apply that? Here it says, can you bring it all together? So do you have the knowledge? Can you apply it? Can you synthesize it? Okay. Now, knowledge of what? Sorry guys, my thing keeps skipping. Knowledge of what? The investment tools. Okay. Now, a key part of, as you're going to learn, CFA has what is called learning outcome, LOS, learning outcome statement. Learning outcome statement are the specific learning objectives, okay, that you must achieve to show that you have understood what is required. Now, as you notice, In order to master all the investment tools, there are 560 learning outcome statements that we're going to be teaching. There are 560 learning outcome statements that's packaged through 5 books: book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5. Okay. In book 1, these first 2 books, this first 2 is what I'll call book 1. So it has about maybe like 89 learning outcome statements. So out of these 560, they are spread in between these books. Okay. Economics is a book on its own. This is your book 2. Okay. Financial reporting analysis is a book on its own. This is your book 3. Okay. Now, you combine, the CFA combines corporate finance, equity, fixed income, and derivatives, all in what is commonly called book 4. Okay, and then your book 5 is commonly called alternative and this. So if you're joining our CFA course, we're literally going to be taking you through 5 different books. Okay, the 5 different books, they are designed to cover those 10 syllabus areas. And the 10 syllabus areas in level 1, we're trying to teach you 560 different things, or we're trying to achieve 560 different learning outcomes. Now, those 560 is going to be the basis on which you're going to be tested in the exams. Okay. Now, when you go to level 2, there's still going to be another 5 books in that same structure. 5 books again, carrying those same topic areas, but obviously now with a higher level of complexity. The emphasis would have moved from knowledge of the tools, it would have moved now to applying the tools to do what? To do asset valuation. You can never know whether you should buy or whether you should sell or whether you should hold unless you can value that asset. So everything shifts, everything shifts there around what is the value of this asset. That again is going to comprise 5 books. You might be thinking, okay, since some of the syllabus areas they finish in level 2, so okay, by level 3 I'm no longer doing this. Okay, quantitative methods has fallen off. Okay, financial reporting has fallen off. Okay, corporate finance has fallen off. So does that mean that the number of books would be fewer? The answer is no. In fact, okay, as you can clearly see here, although we're only now left with seven areas by the time we're going to level 3, you will notice that at the time you're in level 2, you still deal with all the 10 areas. The number of learning outcomes have dropped, okay, from 560 to 465. So almost 100 learning outcomes dropped. It might come across like, I know you're going to worry about level 2 when you get there. It might come across like the work is getting easy. Don't make that mistake. Okay? The learning outcomes have dropped. The level of complexity of the material has increased. The books have become very smaller. So a book 1, which was 300 pages in level 1, is now 150 pages because it's got fewer learning outcomes. But the time that you take to understand what's going on in just one learning outcome is almost equivalent to 2 learning outcomes in level 1. So just keep that in mind. So don't read these numbers and think it's getting small. And you can almost see the difference when you get to level 3. Look at the massive drop. The learning outcomes, they drop from 465 to just 38. But the number of books are still 5. So some topic areas have dropped, yes. In essence, they have not dropped. They've just been coalesced into other subjects. There are certain things that you do at level 3, which is portfolio management, which you cannot do unless you have those grounding from. So they've dropped. Outcomes have dropped significantly, but the complexity is now at the sky level. Okay, so a learning outcome that could take 1 page, 2 pages in level 1, that same learning outcome now can all the rest. But our job as a school is to break down this learning outcome. So teach you according to the learning outcome. Assess you according to the learning outcome. Because at the end of the day, when you're writing the CFA exams, it is only around those learning outcomes. Okay. One of the things I wanted to point out about those learning outcomes. Now, if you're thinking about doing CFA, which is something we're very passionate about, For now, because all of you are still thinking about level 1, you're not going to worry about this part. You worry about knowing what, because you have to go past this level before you go into that level. Okay. Now, ultimately, you are looking to write 3 exams. You're looking to write level 1 exam. You're looking to write level 2 exam. You're looking to write level 3 exam. You're looking now to submit your work experience to become a CFA chapter. Okay. So for your purpose, okay, let's focus here. There's a level 1 exam. So when we teach you, we are teaching you to go write this level 1 exam. Okay? If you are new, level 1 exams, all the exams are computer based. Level 1 exams used to be 2 times a year. Now you can write level 1 exams 4 times a year. Level 1 exams happen every February, CFA every May, every August, and every November. Okay. So if you now, but please take note. If you fail an exam in February, you cannot rewrite in May. CFA rule says, although you have 4 options to write exams in a year, if you fail an exam, you must only rewrite after 6 months. That means if you wrote in February, you failed, you're not eligible to write in May. You can only again write in August. If you wrote in August, you failed, you can no longer rewrite that paper in November, you can write only in February. So yes, there are 4 exam cycles, gives you the flexibility, but it will only remain 4, and that's flexibility if you're writing and passing. If you're writing and not passing, technically there are just 2 exams. You can only write twice in a year. Okay, so let's get that clear and out of the way. What is the structure of the exams? Now, the exam has 2 sessions. There's what is called the morning session, afternoon. Okay. In the morning session, you are writing for 2 hours 15 minutes. In the afternoon session, you are also writing for 2 hours 15 minutes. So technically, you're writing for 4.5 hours. It's a 1 day. You go in there in the morning, start at 9. The screen opens. You got 2.5 hours, 2 hours 15 minutes. Answer a number of questions. After 2 hours 15 minutes, the computer closes. You are told you have 30 minutes break. You can break for 30 minutes, and then you continue again for another 2.5 hours. That's what is commonly called the afternoon sessions. So what is it you are answering? You are answering multiple choice questions. Now, in the morning, you are answering 90 multiple choice questions. In the afternoon, you're also answering 90 multiple choice questions. That almost makes it look like 1.5 minutes per question. Now, obviously, if you're wondering what's multiple choice, you don't need to worry. When we are teaching you, we prepare you what is multiple choice. We have test 1, we have test 2, we have test 3. It's all designed to show you how multiple choice works. So I can take one of these learning outcomes. Now, let's put it this way. If you're going to answer, potentially, if you're going to answer 90 questions in the morning, 90 questions in the afternoon, that's potentially you're going to be answering 180 questions between morning and afternoon sessions. It's going to take you 4.5 hours. Okay. There are 560 learning outcomes. Okay. So what that means is I can pick 180 learning outcomes here. That's what CFA will do. They'll say, okay, for this exam, we got 560 learning outcomes, we'll pick 180. You obviously don't know which 180. You would have taught you all the 180. And then they will set 90 questions from those in the morning, set another 90 questions from that. Okay. It is not a given that it would be from, 180 different. They can ask you questions twice on the same learning outcome. So although we say 180 here, it can actually end up being just 100, which means some learning outcomes questions will be asked on it twice, in the morning as well as in the afternoon. So, but that's the idea. We teach you these 560 learning outcomes in between these 10 areas inside 5 books to prepare you for any 180 questions that will be asked in the morning and in the afternoon. And then if you do that well, you pass. Obviously, if you write, you pass, and then that automatically, the window automatically opens for you to start preparing for level 2. And again, we would take you through the process. Why have we put this at August in red? Right now, if you are thinking about joining our course, why is August in red? August is in red because it takes on average 7 months to prepare you to write a CFA level. So as we're going to be hearing from the Chief Operating Officer about our timetables when she comes up, our classes will start sometime. What time? The level 1. Okay. For level 1, since all of you are attending the open day online, you are interested in level 1. Our classes in level 1 will start in January. Okay. Before, when level 1 used to start classes and people are ready by June. But as you can clearly see, you need 7 solid months to prepare students to write. So there's no way you can start in January and people can be ready in February. The first that you can even think about being ready is May. But we would warn our students against, because if you're trying to write in May, remember January, we're not even starting early January, we're starting late January. It means you only have February, March, April, 3 months. Okay? Now, a lot of people will ask, but I want to write my exams very fast, I want to write. Hold on. CFA is no easy qualification. Can we start the course, teach it all before May? Of course we can. But can you grasp everything within 3 months, do all the practice to write the exam? The chances are very, very slim. So we wish we could prepare you to write your exams in May. If it was June, as it used to be, we can say that we can start in June. So the red then says, the earliest we can comfortably prepare you and get you ready to write your exams and have a decent chance of passing first step is in August. That means that the timetable we're going to be showing you, okay, says we're going to start at the end of January. Now, because we said there are 5 books, it takes on average 1 month per book. Okay, so if we start with in January, by end of February, end of March, book 2, end of April, book 3, end of May, book 4, end of June, book 5, end of July, book 6. Sorry, end of May, book 5. Well, I think I'm getting my whole thing mixed up. Okay, so this is my February, this is my March. March is spending on economics. This is my April. This is my book 4, which is May. This is my book 5, which is June. So as you can see, the best you can do to really do well and complete this at the end of June. So there's almost no way you can force to write in May, even if you wanted to write. That would mean we'll compress all the classes to finish soon. We can do that, but it's not going to work. We've tried it before, it just doesn't work. Okay, that means you finish in June, then we have the whole of July to do revision. Because covering the course is one thing, learning exam techniques and revisions and mocks is something else. That allows us to use the whole of July and the first week of August. These exams are not. The whole of July and the first, you have 1.5 months really revising all these 400 510 outcomes and multiple questions on each. That can give you a very decent chance to write your first exams in August, which you can write, and then 2 months after, okay, you can get your results. So if you write in August, you are looking at the end of October, you are getting your results. Okay. Now, you might be asking the question, what then next? You get your results in October, okay? You might want to do level 2. Okay. Please take note. As you can see on our level 2 cycles, okay, exams for level 2, they happen 3 times a year, not 4 times a year like here. Okay, it used to be 2 similar. CFA has revised, it's going to be 3 times. The exam going to be exams in February, they're going to be exams in May, they're going to be exams in November. The question is, you cannot do this unless you pass this. So if you wrote in August, you only get your results in October. You only get your results in October. Okay? In October. We can almost safely advise you that, please, your next best available date to aim to write level 2 is the November cycle. Why? Because A, By October, the year is finished. We're only starting the next course in January. And again, that also needs another 7 months. As you can clearly see, February and May is not going to work out for you. So the best you can aim for is November. Okay. Similarly, if you look at here, this is twice a year in August, and this. If you finish this in November, you get your results in January. You can jump into the 3 class you finish in August. Okay. Now, so although you have this flexibility, really, we run this twice per year. Let me make that very clear. The course we are starting in January is designed to prepare you to write your exams in August. Okay. Now, we start in January, around March, April, we start another course again, another CFA level 2. That is designed to get you to write your exams in November. Because if you join this April course, you will not have enough time to prepare to write the exam. So those will be writing in August. Sorry. Those who are writing in August, they would have already joined our January class. Our classes we started in January. Now, this thing is fighting with me. So those who join in January, they are aiming for this August. Yes, I am. Those who join in March, see, it's my finger, isn't it? If you join in March, which is 2 months after this has started, then that can help you to write in the August, in the November exam cycle. So that's how we structure this. Now, can you join this and still write in August? Yes, of course. But here will be around, there are 5 books. Here we will already be around entering book, somewhere between book 2 and book 3. It means that you have book 1 and 2 to cover up by yourself. We do have recorded classes. We record all the classes, we file it, so you can still jump in at this stage and aim to write for August. But you have to go now through the recorded classes and teach yourself, cover everything that has been covered so you can, with those who are in this batch. But generally, we recommend you enter in March and hope to write in November. If you wrote in November, in late January, you still get your results. So either way, even if you started here, you got here, we don't have a class which is starting, okay, anytime there. If you wrote it, you get your November in January, you can still join the January class. Yeah. So even though both of you join in at different times, you wrote different exams, you can all start in January, aiming for the November exams. Again, I want you to notice the following. Again, this is not your interest at this point. However, at level 2, somewhere around July, okay, because level 2 happens 3 times a year, there is an exam here, there's an exam here, there's an exam here. Somewhere around July, we start a new level 2 course, which is aiming for this February. Obviously, the idea is anybody who is entering this level 2 course, it is too late to aim to write for these exams. July will be too late. In November, you need 7 months. So this can only prepare you to write in February the following year. But the assumption is that for you to have joined this course, because for you to write level 2, you have to have passed level 1. So anybody joining our July intake for level 2, aiming to write the next year in February, should be somebody who already passed level 1, either from the most recent February intake, meaning you wrote in February, you got the results in April, you knew you passed, then you can jump into the July intake class. But that July intake will only prepare you to write in February next year. So we'll just explain so you know the road, the road ahead. So the multiplicity of exam options is one thing. Whether you can have study support, okay, to prepare everybody for all those 4 options, as we can say, 7 months. So there is no way, if you need 7 months, there is no way you can prepare students for each of those cycles. So we have structured it such that we can only respond to 2 sittings a year, especially for level 1, and then you can permeate between level 1 and level 2 by starting a course in the middle of 1 year and finishing it at the beginning of the next year. That's the essence of our timetable. So I hope that if you are online and you are wondering, okay, how is this structured and all the rest, that gives you an idea what CFA is all about. Now, obviously, this is just a high level. Okay, we have a detailed timetable which goes into what is the timetable for level 1, what is the timetable for level 2, when does it start, what are the study options, what type of learning materials you can get. I'm now going to leave you in the hands of my colleague, Patience Mukondwa, who will take you through on that second aspect. Once she's gone through that part, then we can then go back to questions and answers. If there are any questions, we can then take. Okay, over to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Patience. As Mr. T introduced me, I'm going to take you through our study options. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our website or our so you can have a look at the study options that we have. Also, so that at any point you can still come through and revisit what we are offering. So I'll take you through both. We run online and we also run on campus study options. So if you are, I do understand our audience, you are mainly CFA level 1. So I will try to also okay, there we go. All right. So we do have our intakes there. CFA level 1. So we do have our January and our June intake, aiming for August and November 2022 exams, as Mr. Ted explained. Level 2, I will only start in April, aiming for November exams. And level 3, January, aiming for November 2022 exams. So our study option, we do have online and on-campus options. So we have our normal fee, it's 19,000, and we had a promotion, actually it expired. It was going for 17,500 per module. So our packages, I'm going to open our timetable so you can have a look at I think it will be easier to explain this whilst we have a look at the timetable itself. Okay. All right, so let's say we are doing CFA level 1. So we offer CFA here at the Sandton CBD campus. So if you're then going to select CFA level 1, the campuses that will show, you will see Sandton CBD campus and eCampus live stream. So these, they follow the same times, the same structure. So if you then select your Sandton CBD campus, so we have 2 semesters for CFA level 1. So I'm going to select both so you can see the class starting dates, and that is our tech package for our on-campus option. And then I'll select our CFA level 1 full course. So you will then get a sense of what we have here. All right. So classes will be starting from the 29th of January, and that's when we start with our book 1. That's week 1. As we explained, we do have the whole structure from book 1 to book 5. So you see here that's your book 1, we'll go week 3, book 1 again, week 4. I think we have 5 classes. Then we have where we cover book 1. Then there's a test 1. So this test covers what you would have done from book 1 to everything in book 1. And then we will go through again week 6. We are now covering book 2, all the way until our week 9. That's book 2. So that's just how the structure goes until we cover everything too. book 5. This is our, oh, I opened this. All right. This is the timetable for a TEP package. So I just wanted to show you how our study options mirror the timetable. These are study options. There we go. Okay. So our TEP package, you then get 18 to 20 contact hours. Okay. So these are the contact classes that then you use when we cover from book 1 to book 5 as per our timetable, and then you get 2 to 8 revision classes. So these are the classes we do after the going through the tuition phase. So for example, okay, I showed you semester 1, so this is semester 2 that aims for November exams. This one aims for August. So we then, this is where we do the exam preparation classes. So after our book 5, you find that there will be some exam prep classes here. We've got 3, so they can always increase depending on how the class and the pace, and if we have a lot to revise before the exams. So the TEP package also includes a student file where we package certain materials and how we structure the course so that you can follow and add all your class notes. We do have recorded lecture videos, so you will get online access to the course itself, where you will then get your weekly classes, your recorded videos. So if you miss a class, this package you can live stream, you can come to campus. If that weekend you're unable to do so, you can always catch up on the. And then you are able to interact with our lecturers. So via our WhatsApp groups and via email, you are able to interact with your lecturers. The books themselves. So these are the 5 books. So there will be book 1 to book 5. So these are the ones that you use during the process of, when we cover book 1, book 2. So you will get these 5 books as part of the package. These are hard copy books. If you prefer ebooks, we also have that option. So you will then be able to get that as part of your package, and it covers all the learning outcome statements as Mr. T has taken us through. And you will also get a detailed scheme of work because you want to understand exactly what is it that you're going to cover. Let's say you're joining the same. What exactly are you going to cover on this day, on week 3? So we will actually give you a detailed structure of the course. Then we will give you a test bank. So because we use the same Wiley materials, this will have a lot of questions to practice. So ahead of your test 1, which we give you, you will have an extra question bank, online questions that you use to practice. So this is another, it's an online, it's not a physical book. So you actually get online access to the test bank. And then on our student portal, on the Wiley Access, you also have multiple practice exams. So, by the time you face the final CFA exam, you would have gone through a lot of questions online on our student portal, which will give you access, and on the Wiley platform, which will also give you access. You also do get your formula sheet. So this already we do have it for 2022 as part of the packages. So once you enroll, you will get access to that. This is also, you get it online together with the Wiley test bank. The TEP package also has the CFA Recommended Calculator. So this is a calculator you get part of the package. All the other packages don't have this, so we provide you this calculator as well. And the same access to additional practice questions and 24/7 student support. We do have our WhatsApp groups. So we do encourage students to do everything that we're saying. Okay, attend your weekly classes. It's a lot of classes. Do your tests, practice online, and we should guarantee that you should pass first time. So this is our TEP package and what it includes. Then we have what we call our exam preparation only package. So this does not include your contact classes or your online classes. This is the 18 to 20 classes. You only come through for exam preparation. So this is when you come through for revision classes, where we then take you through, we revise tests, exam techniques, how to answer questions. So that's what you cover then during the revision phase. And you obviously have access to the lecturer also to ask questions. Because you are not joining the tuition phase, you will only get the test bank because you're joining us for exam preparation. You will actually not get the 5 books. You will get the multiple online practice tests, which we will practice in the exam preparation classes. And you still get our access on our online platform with our additional questions that we've set up for you. And you still have access to our WhatsApp groups. So that is our exam preparation only. So this package is for someone who probably, maybe you did it before, you feel like you only need exam practice before you face the final exam. Maybe you may want to take the exam preparation package. But if you look at it, we do have the interactive online package. So this package is just like this TEP package that has everything. The only difference between the TEP package and the interactive online package is that you get those 5 books, you get ebooks. So let's say you are online, probably you're joining us today from Durban, Cape Town, and this is the package you want, and you want to pass your CFA exams first time, you will log in weekly, interact with the lecturer, just like a TEP student coming to campus. You will just not only you will only not have the option of coming to campus, but you will still have everything online. And the other difference is that you do not get the CFA calculator. So this is something that you may have to arrange for yourself outside this package. So these are our 3 packages, and I've taken you through our timetables. So for level 1, these are the 2 intakes that we have. Online classes, again, as I was searching, you are able to then pick if you want online. You can then select your level 1, and then you can select eCampus. So at the same time, when online face-to-face classes are running here at Sandton City Campus, your interactive classes are also running. So you'll be able to search and get your schedules right there. Once you register, we give you access to the CharterQuest portal, to the Wiley platform, where you actually get all the practice questions. So there we go, live stream classes. They also start on the 29th of January, just like our Sandton face-to-face classes. Just to make sure I've taken you through everything. If you want to add your exam fees, I think I'm just enrollments portal. Our payment terms, actually, before we go there, you can pay your fees 20% deposit now, and you can pay the balance of months. So let's say you want to start already and you want to get your books, you want to get ready. We only like 2 months before classes start. We recommend, maybe you've got your CFA book already, the one you get from the CFA Institute after you start. You can then start to register now, pay your 20% deposit, have the balance paid over 6 months as you study with us, and get started. So I will now take you through, let's say you want to get a quotation or you want to get started. So you do have an option to add any fees that you'd like us to support with relating to the CFA Institute. Or if you want to add them onto your debit order structure, you can actually also do so whilst you're studying with us. So here you will select that this is the CFA program. If you're sponsoring yourself or the company is sponsoring for you, that's also an option. Then you can choose whether you want to live stream or you want to come through to the Sandton CBD campus. And then this is our 2022 January-February intake. And then we go next. Okay. So then you can then choose, that is the 13,000 option for eCampus. So you can also choose if you want to upsell or get hard copy books. So you process, these are our courier fees. You should be able to add on, I think it's extra 2,500 rands if you want to get hard copy books instead of ebooks, because you may want to obviously study online, but you want to get hard copy books. So I think that option should be updated here. So you will be able then to edit on and then add any courier fees, go to the next stage. And the next stage here now you can add, so you obviously know the deadlines for your exams by when you need to register. By now you should know whether you want to do the August or the November exam. So you can then go on and say, okay, I'm within the early registration, or you are within the standard registration, so that's level 1. Then you can edit on, okay, proceed to the next. We do have discounts for self-sponsored students. So let's say if you probably studied another course with us, you can claim a 3% discount if you want to pay a deposit of 20%, or you want to do a full settlement within 3 days, you get a discount as well. So as you go on with the process, you then be able to structure your payment arrangement. So once you get your Get Free Coach emailed or register and enroll, so your quotation, you will have the full fee plus the CFA fee if you want. Otherwise, you are free to pay this directly by yourself if you wish to do so. But you can also add it onto your quotation, and then we just also ensure that we remit this once you have finalized or you have paid through your fees for the exams if you opt to pay through us. So from my side, I think that's more or less around our study options, our intakes, our timetables, and obviously how to get a free coach email. If there are any questions? Nancy, I know you're
nothing in relation to the packages, patients. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So I assume there are other questions besides this.
Yes. For
All
Mr.
right,
T section.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
So
thanks very much. Go back to my section. Very much. Thanks. We were ready to finish what time? How are we doing with time? Okay, guys, we were meant to finish at 1. It's 7 minutes to 1, so I forgot to apologize. We started this thing 10 minutes late, and I'm trying to make sure we don't finish also 10 minutes late. So if we manage to still finish at 1, they would have at least corrected our own deficiency at the beginning. So my apologies for us starting late, but it seems we're still fine with time in terms of our finishing time. Okay, so I understand we're now going to take questions. I understand, Alesseko, what's the first question? If you have the name of the person as well as the question,
Yes.
it will be helpful. If you don't have the name, just
okay. The name of the student is Kanyi, and she's asking, if you are CIMA qualified, would you recommend someone to pursue CFA? Is there any benefit in doing so, or is there a link between the two?
If you are CIMA qualified, would you recommend somebody to pursue CFA?
Yes.
Is there any benefit for doing the two, or you read it again?
Is there a link between the two?
Is there a link between the two? The easiest part for me to answer is there's a link. There's no question that is. Both are financial qualification, so they would have to be linked. I mean, if you're doing CIMA, you're going to at some point you have to do, for instance, I can tell you now some of the things that if you came with CIMA, you will find pretty much the same in CFA. Would be you would find this part pretty much the same. Okay, when I say pretty, I mean like I would say it's 5 to 70% the same. But you find an extra 35, or so 30 to 35% new stuff in CFA that relates most likely to US GAAP. Because when you do CIMA, financial reporting analysis, CIMA is structured around IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. All the instrument you learn is in terms of IFRS. When you come to CFA, you cover everything on IFRS, but you have to learn how to contrast that with US GAAP, which is a totally different, not totally different, similar, but a different way of approaching financial reporting. So there's a potential, so there's some link here. That 70% is the same. There's a new 30% you find in CFA which you didn't find in CIMA. Corporate finance, when you did CIMA, financial strategy, if you have completed CIMA and you've completed financial strategy, which is F3, you will find that part much more in-depth than even this part. So you will be much stronger on corporate finance than a guy who did CFA. So literally, I'm saying everything you've learned in F3 in CIMA, this will be pretty much easy for you. It will be, but now easy if you're in level 1. When you go to level 2, it won't be easy because this corporate finance happens in level 1, it happens in level 2. When you're in level 1, you'll find if you already coming with CIMA qualification, you find it straightforward. When you get to level 2, that same corporate finance, you will find that it is more serious than CIMA. You will need more than even what you learned on CIMA to cope with this same corporate finance in level 2. Okay, there is likely to be very little equity investment. CIMA is very weak on this. There's not much. CIMA talks about equity, but it doesn't really go into how equity markets work, the different stock markets, the different indices, and all the rest. So you probably find this new to you. Okay, only 10% of what you bring, only 10% of this, what you bring from CIMA, you will find here. 90% is entirely new here. Fixed income as well. To the extent that you've done F3, you've done a bit of fixed income. Only about 10% you're going to find. 90% is much more stuff that CIMA would not have covered. Okay. Again here, derivatives. If you have done CIMA, you're probably going to find 50% what you've done in P3 risk management. Okay, on CIMA derivatives. Half of this you will find fairly familiar. There's another half which is like strange stuff that you would have never seen as part of CIMA. So it's more complex here. Alternative investment, CIMA will not have prepared you for this at all. There's nothing here that you would have covered on CIMA that you will find here. This is completely new. Portfolio management and wealth planning, CIMA will not have prepared you for this at all. So you'll be like totally new area. Economics, CIMA would have prepared you on this. Okay, maybe about 40%. CFA economics is much deeper at all levels than the economics that CIMA will go for. So you bring some knowledge of economics from your CIMA, but you need to dig deep and find some extra details which you're going to find on CFA. And then CIMA will not have prepared you much on, CIMA would have taught you ethics in general, really, but the ethics in CFA is deeper. It's CIMA's ethics is just like 3 pages stuff, and the ethics in CFA is serious business. It's like 10 times more than the ethics you're going to see. So I think if you came from CFA to CIMA, generally, if you came from CFA to CIMA, you will find CIMA very easy to get through. But if you came from CIMA to CFA, it's a step up. It's a step up to cope with CFA. So if your question was, is there a link? Yes, of course, there's a link. They are both financial qualification. I've tried to show you where they are linked. Overall, I would say CFA is much more, it goes into more depth in finance than CIMA does. Now, if you notice, most of the things I've been trying to show you the link, I've mainly referred to economics, which is BA1. I've referred to risk management, which is P3. I've referred to financial. So there are one or two modules in CIMA that you'll find in CFA. Financial strategy, risk management, financial reporting, you find in CFA. Okay, but there are a lot of things going on in CIMA also that you will not, like strategic management in CFA. Performance management. There is performance management, but there's management of performance of a portfolio, not performance of people and the business and all the rest. So there you have portfolio performance management. The principles are not similar enough for you to say, because I know performance, I can do it in CFA. But generally, there is a link. If the question is about, would I advise somebody to, having done CIMA, to do CFA, having done CFA, I know a lot of people do CIMA, and then they also want CFA. I don't know anybody who does CFA and wants to do CIMA. So generally, people do CIMA, and then they say, oh, but I also want to do CFA. But I've never come across somebody who did CFA, finished, and say, oh, so I want to come back and do CIMA. That therefore means that there is a scope to oscillate between one and the other, but it's more directional as opposed to be bi-directional. It's more from CIMA to CFA. I guess your question then is, why would I want to, having done CIMA, want to do CFA? And why would I not want to, having done CFA, want to do CIMA? And I think here is the answer to the question. The average person who does CIMA, okay, aspires to work as a management accountant in business. You want to help with planning, decision making, control, how to move a business forward. That's why you would have done CIMA. The chances are that you find yourself in a business and you find the financial aspect. So you work in a company, you find group finance, group treasury, okay? You find that a lot of things where you work in CIMA, which is that of strategy, planning, control, you find that in your company, in group finance, there are some specialist things going on there. Derivatives, forward contracts, when the company is trying to manage risk programs and going to those derivative programs, you find a lot of things going on there, and the company does not believe CIMA guys are trained for that. And there's a case to be made that that's the case, because yes, you learn those things in general in CIMA, but there are very specialist kind of operations going on in that area that the average CIMA person finds it appealing and say, I wish I could work in that area. And then you realize that the company only hires specialists in that area. And then you feel okay. And then you start realizing CIMA is more of a management than a specialist finance qualification. Okay, and then you start realizing maybe if I want to really get into that specialist area, I would need CFA. So people would move from CIMA to CFA because they want to specialize in niches. Sometimes not within the company, they want to leave the company and get into the investment banking section. They want to work for investment bank, asset management companies, investment companies, stock broking companies, those companies whose core business is finances, investments and this. It's not that you're working for a mining company that needs money. Some people haven't worked there, they say, no, but I really want to work. Then they go on to do CFA. That is where you force you to, if that's what you want, I would strongly advise that if you're going to enter, even if you have CIMA, then you still have to go and do CFA because that's what you need to thrive. Okay. The other way, rarely do you find people who have done their CFA, they already find themselves when they did their CFA, they already made a decision that they want to get into specialist finance. And they are already there. Nobody wants to move. People want to move from general areas to specialist areas. People hardly want to move from specialist areas back to generalist areas. That's why you hardly find a CFA guy say, okay, I also want to do CIMA, CIMA as such. Now the difference comes in if you have done CFA and now you are rising up your ladder, you are now getting to this level of a chief investment officer. Remember, at this level, even in an investment banking, you are now more of a manager than an analyst. You are managing a firm of analysts. Okay? Now, that firm has to the firm itself has a strategy. The firm itself has to manage risk. The firm itself has to do marketing. There are all these other things that you need to know beyond just CFA. Now, that is the area where I can see a CFA guy saying, maybe let me go do CIMA. CIMA is it gives a more general understanding of strategic business. Such a person might want to go and do CIMA, but most of them end up doing MBA as opposed to CIMA. I hope that answers your question. If there's a follow-up, you can always put that up. Let's go. What's the next question?
The next question is from Tato, and he or she is asking, why were the recent pass rates so low for CFA?
Why have the recent pass rates so low for CFA?
Yes.
Is that the question, Leseko? Leseko?
Yes, it is.
What's the question? Why have the recent pass rates for CFA been so low?
Yes.
It's a good question. I mean, this thing has been your open view to I'll give you CFA's official reasons. That's what they have communicated. I'll give you my own analysis. Okay, this is now my opinion. CFA has released a video where they have tried to deal with this question as to why the pass rates have been very low. They made it clear that they have not increased the complexity of the exams. That's what they say. They made it clear that they have not altered the syllabus for the last 2 years. That's exactly what they say. They made clear that they have not increased the minimum. Generally, everybody has always known that you need it. I didn't mention studying the multiple choice. You need to answer 70% of the questions right. There was a debate going out that maybe CFA has increased the minimum passing score from 70% to 80%. That's why people are failing. CFA has also said they have not increased the minimum passing. So what then explains why people have been failing? CFA says their analysis, they've used their adaptive learning system to analyze scores the last 18 months versus before. CFA's position is that the main driver of the failure is the pandemic. Okay, how do they explain that? They're saying on average in the past, it was clear when exams will be written. Exams don't get cancelled. People know I'm writing exam in May. They set up themselves, they target, they study every day for May. There is no ambiguity as to whether exams will be written. What CFA says is they have found themselves setting up exams because of COVID. A lot of times they set exams, they cancel it, they set exams. So a number of students who have written the last 2 years. Some of them, they were meant to write in 2020, for instance. A pandemic came, there was lockdown, exam was set. People get ready when it's about to exam, they cancel the exam, they start again, they cancel. So all that adds to the uncertainty. According to CFA, when you are studying for an exam and you don't even know whether it's going to be written, you know it's going to happen in November, but you know it was cancelled before when you were studying. So people study, they don't put in all their effort, they're not sure, it gets cancelled, some end up hoping. So all that uncertainty, according to CFA, they have seen a number of candidates who did very well in level 1 before COVID. When they got to level 2, they did so badly. And each time they regress those performances back to number of times they cancel exams, they found that those exams that were cancelled, those students who experienced more cancellation of the exams, when they eventually wrote, they performed very badly. So purely from what CFA said, is that it is the uncertainty regarding the exam. Now, as a teacher myself and an examiner myself, it does make sense, okay? Especially when we live in a world where students just want to write. Most of the culture of students is that they study to pass exams. They don't study to know. And that more so in Africa as opposed to other parts of the world. We just study to pass exams. Okay, if there's a culture which says I'm a professional, I want to be a financial analyst, I want to be as good as I can. That means I have to be studying. Whether exams come or they don't come, I have to be studying to be the best of my game. If that was the culture of students, whether exams are there or because of pandemic, people will do well. But if you are dealing with a world where people study 2 weeks, 1 month before exams, and then you couple that with the fact that the exams might be cancelled, you have an air of uncertainty where people don't want to study until they are sure, but you also can't be sure because COVID, we are never sure. So all that then means, and remember, once you've read your CFA exams, the last 60 days before exam, you cannot withdraw. If you withdraw, you're going to lose your money. That then means you can't withdraw, but you're also not sure whether the exams will go ahead. Then more and more people are facing the exams unprepared. They can't withdraw because if they withdraw, they will lose their registration fee. So they just go and write anyway, hoping that they're going to seal up. That is CFA's explanation. It does make a lot of sense to me. I would add that to that, I would endorse that as an explanation, but I also think that computer-based exams have only been existing in the last 18 years. In fact, CIMA only started running computer-based exams in 2020, right when we're going into, I'm sure you realize, before 2020, all exams were manual. People were allowed to come with their calculator, do their thing manually, cycle. Everybody, if people have been used to studying, answering questions manually, everything, all of a sudden now, because of COVID, all the exams are now computerized. That could play a role. You might find that people who have become used to writing the exam now have to do it on the computer. All that is a sudden change. So you're dealing with COVID. There's uncertainty. Exams are no longer manual. They are now computerized. I think that also may have, contributed to why the results are the way they are. What does that mean? For as long as there is uncertainty around the pandemic, when exams are said cancel, you could continue to see these very poor pass rates, 30%, 20% around the world, until things become stable. I believe that with time people get used to computer exams, that shouldn't be an issue. But as long as COVID remains an issue, I can clearly see how that continues to make the pass rates to be worse than they have been the last 30 to 40 years. Okay, so I hope that's the answer to the question. What is there any other next question or a follow-up? Sorry? I can't hear you, Leseko. Leseko, are there more questions?
Hello?
Yeah?
Okay. Yes, sorry, there's no follow-up question, but there is one additional one from a different candidate. This is Mpo, and Mpo is asking, realistically, is it possible to start classes for your next level without having received your results? Has this done before? And this is because I would like to finish all 3 levels within 24 months.
I would like to finish all 3 levels within 24 months. The answer is yes, it is realistic. We've had people who have they've written 1 level, they are waiting for their results, but because classes have started, they are sure they will pass. We encourage them. We have people who have done that, and they've done that successfully. So you enroll for the next class, which is starting. You're waiting for your results. You enroll. If the results come, you have passed. Okay, you just continue. Just continue your class. If the results come, you have not passed, you can then defer the class to say, okay, I want to go back and rewrite the exam, then I'm going to come back and continue with my studies. We do have that flexibility. You can enroll in 2020. If the results don't go your way, you can drop out, come back and continue in the second class when the next batch starts in the same 2020, or even in the next. Just inform us to say, guys, I was thinking I'm going to pass level 1, I haven't passed, so I have to go back and regroup and revise. So I can't be continuing level 2 while trying to rewrite level 1. We'll simply hold your registration, move your exams. The only issue is that if by the time you come back, if you take too long, the books change every year. If the new edition books come and all the rest will change the books, you have to pay a fee, to get access to the new books. Otherwise, you have to work with your old books. So it has been done. Our systems do allow for that. The question that arises is, can I do that in 18 months? People can take 18 months to finish. Let's be clear. I know you say you want to do it in 24 months. 24 months is 2 years. The cycles show you can, even in 18 months, you can finish it. It is not easy job though. Let me just make it very, very clear. It is not easy at all. It is, if 10,000 people pass CFA, only about 1% of those can pull it off in 18 months, even 2 years. Okay, so the flexibility to accommodate you to attend classes and finish in 2 years is there. That is given. We can allow you to do that. The real issue is whether you can cope with the pressure, because this is no easy exam. It's business. If you've got this demanding job or you have some family, Let's say you are single, you are really studying full time, you don't really have a demanding job, maybe you work morning till 2, you go home, you got a lot of time. Okay? I can see you taking 18 months or 2 years to do that. But if you have this demanding job, you have to finish at work 6 o'clock at night, you have a family, that 2 years, I wouldn't recommend you aim for that. Maybe 2.5 years. But yes, you can do it. It is hectic stuff. It's really hectic. I can tell you now that if you hear people complaining about CTA, passing the CASA exams are too difficult, or they've heard CIMA exams are difficult, just take whatever you've heard and multiply it by 2 or by 3. Then you will know how difficult CFA is. But it is doable in 18 months. Okay, so it looks like unless there's another follow-up question, the simple that we've now done.
There is no follow-up question. Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for asking all your questions. So, what are the next steps? I guess we've shown you how to enroll. If you wanted to enroll, we've shown you the right-hand side of the website. You can go in, enroll, get your free quote, start arranging. Classes are going to start at the end of January. Ideally, we want to close all enrollment by the 15th of January. If there are specific more follow-up questions that you have that you want us to address on the screen, please you want to take note of this. For individualized attention, here is my email, bnti@charterquest.co.za. You can write to me directly. Here is the email of my colleague who also presented, the head of operations, Patience Mukondwa, patience.m@charterquest.co.za. You can use any of those 2 mails. Any of us, you send an email on CFA, we should be able to assist you. If you want to use WhatsApp, here's a WhatsApp number. That WhatsApp number is linked to Patient Mukondwa. It's a particular phone. She runs with that phone. If you send a WhatsApp there, I'm sure within a few minutes she should be able to reply to you. And lastly, we have our direct phone line there, our landline. Use it online. And But if you wanted to reach us, that is the third option if you need any clarity. Otherwise, I hope we've answered your questions. We've given you enough understanding of CFA, how it is structured. We've clarified how we can be of help to help you achieve your CFA goals. It is now in your hands. We hope to see our CFA course when we start in January next year. Okay, cheers. You have a good one and bye.